Ta-da! So
Ah,
excited. It's been so long and I have so missed these, Danny.
it has been so long. I was trying to remember. I was like, oh,
Before your
um,
surgery. We stopped doing
mhm,
this the week before your surgery because you were trying
yeah,
to get everything ready. And I was running Black Girl Magic. So I just did that all by myself and you had surgery. And yeah, it's been what, a month now?
I think so. Yeah, summer is just one big swoosh. I think that's how it feels these days.
2020 is one big swoosh. So
Like one big gooey marshmallow. Let's think of it. Like, ah,
fun year, fun times. We're here to talk about the state of the world. So this all seems appropriate, right?
you know, I, there's been good things. I was just talking to someone the other day about like this is a great prioritizer for me, and my health has always been something that's good, so I tend to take it for granted. And at the beginning of the year, I was like, I really want to pay more attention to this. And this was before the virus was
I
like,
remember.
yeah, I can run myself ragged and very, very stressed. And I just decided that I would take more time to play. And I have felt like a kid. I haven't done this in so long. Just like after my run this morning, I usually just get home and do my thing. And I'm like, I'm going to lay in the grass for 5 minutes, like just to be like, grass angels, right? Like, and it's
I'm
so,
breaking out in hives just thinking about grass angels, but I'm glad you had a great time.
so good. Yeah. Like, and it's the other things, just finding little things. I bought an ice cream maker. That's been kind of my quarantine baking. Like what, because it has affected me, and we've been talking about like what, as a very empathic person, I don't necessarily identify as an empath, especially since it's been kind of like supplanted as a codependent. Like I'm like,
Right? Like, I am empathic, very empathic, and the word weirds me out now as much as Coach does because right? There's all this bypassing around it. I'm empathic, so I don't have to get involved. I don't have to watch the news. I don't have to do anything for this world that I am also a member of, and I can't hang with that.
yeah, there's some strange stuff, but I do think that there's some like, well, I mean, there's a lot. So let's get into that. One of the things is we talk about like clearing and about energy. So I'm sensitive to energy, you're sensitive to energy. Like, what do you do when you're feeling it and it's overwhelming? There's a couple reasons it's overwhelming, in my opinion, is that we're futurizing, and this is so cool to know this about yourself. If you're envisioning the worst thing possible because you're a creative person or you're a visionary, which most entrepreneurs are creative, we can imagine things that are not happening, right? Combine that with bringing in other people's energy. And normally we're not bringing it, some people bring it through their second, but for the most part, we're bringing it through our heart, right? And just getting depressed. And, or it's like, I've had clients blowing stuff up, like, like, like glass shattering and things exploding. I'm like, yeah, like you're taking all that stuff you're not doing anything with, and because we're layering it on top of already existing stuff, like, so whatever's triggering you in the news, and there's a lot to be triggered by. There's the moms, the violence, whether it's your lack of safety. Like there's a lot of stuff to be triggered by. Those things are going to trigger other things that we haven't cleared, because that's where like I think we're really good as sensitive beings at going, I'm going to be holy and spiritual and never get upset about anything. Right? That was me. Like I'm just going to fine, I'll get mad. I'll get mad and I'll be above it, because spiritual people don't get fucking pissed. They don't get pissed. They don't yell at people.
And we're seeing the end results of what's happening to those people right now. I have to say, like, because these are the people who I am now seeing in my feed as the love and light QAnon followers, right? Which is this, I I cannot understand how the hard right info wars, Second Amendment preppers have so much in common with the love and light fairies, but these days they certainly do.
I found that surprising, and I think there's some basis for that we don't, if you're not deeply grounded in your spirituality, and I'm not taking this away from anybody's thing, but if you're feeling like, oh, I don't know, this is like superstition and a lot of fear. I mean, there's a lot of fear that when you're starting to see this, we start to try to make connection, right? We start to try to make sense of it because that's how we make ourselves feel safe. And what bothers me is the lack of knowing which way is up. And I feel the same way in the sense, but I know that that's me turning away from what I know to be real and true. And here's the thing is this, we take all this energy of all these people who are incredibly powerful. You take all these incredible, amazing healers, and then you turn them out instead of like the energy coming in feels like fear, and then they're pushing out fear, right? So all of a sudden we have this polarities where we're pushing out fear into the world as healers. And that concerns me greatly. And
you heard about the hexing of the moon, right?
No.
Holy shit. Okay.
Why are we hexing the moon?
So it's called witch talk, which I know about because it's my business to know the things, but because I refuse to go onto TikTok, this is secondhand knowledge. I've gotten it from Reddit. But apparently, a group of baby witches on Witch Talk decided that it would be really, really fun to hex the fae. And then, for shits and giggles, they also decided to hex the moon. And people are like, well, so who the fuck cares? But for people who have some practical, energetic experience, it explains a lot about what's been going on the last 3 days or so. We've some really interesting stories about offerings being rejected. I heard like fifth hand that one of these baby witches is dead. I'm not quite sure I buy that, but I certainly know that hexing the gods is not really a good idea.
Well, and why I think that shows a deep lack of respect. And that's what I'm seeing is that people have been doing spirituality light. And I think when you're confronted with some really deep issues, and if you're not grounded in who you are, this is a time that would scare you. And I get that. Like, and I've had some new knowledge where I was like, if I had known this 15 years ago, wow, I'm not sure.
If I'd known some of the things I know now 15 years ago, I'm pretty sure they would have kept me locked up in a padded room. Like
hexing the fae?
Yeah.
Why would you? I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't hex anything. I mean, I make jokes about dragon hexes, but I mean,
see, and I'll go there. I'm for hexes under judicious conditions. I think that there is a place for them, but I think hexing supernatural beings and hexing the gods is something else entirely.
Enjoy that. I think it's a bad idea. Because it's all reflection, right? The more I see, really, it's like, and hexing. I mean, I think the great part of this for me is that I see people who are really talented kind of coming to the forward, and I feel like I've pretty much dropped a lot of other things because I feel like it's so important for me to do this work now to help people clear, to help other healers clear, so that we can deal with clear out the human stuff, some past life stuff, so that we can really be useful here now. Because I want to be useful. I want to make a difference. And I can't make a difference if I'm running around freaking out. or blaming people, or like because if we all come back to who we are as people and what we can do energetically, we can do a lot. We can do a lot to change the world.
And I think it's very important to be aware now more than ever of what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are, and what our gifts are, which gifts are meant to be shared. I personally am leaning into apparently lifestyle design, which, let's be real honest here, is uncomfortable for me. There's some push and pull here because I'm not an influencer and I don't give a shit if anyone likes what I like. And I have built my life around other people's systems because I'm not interested in reinventing the wheel. And yet, apparently, that seems to be needed right now because that's what I'm being told pretty unequivocally to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm seeing a lot of success with people doing the like kind of like duh, like kind of it is like it's so second nature that you think. I was on a call a couple days ago, and in a certification program, and there were people talking about like, oh, can we talk more about spirits? Can we talk about like how to see and how to talk to your guides? I'm like, what? Like, how can you call yourself a healer and have no basic understanding of like your own energetic field? Like, I really don't think people should be practicing. And the thing is, the people who are really good are like, but we also forget that we have knowledge. Like, you know, I've been doing clearings for a very long time for myself and others. And it never occurred to me that other people would really want them to pay for them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I never thought about the energy component of my work that I was always doing in other things would be the thing. And it's now the thing. And I think a lot of people are seeing success with the, like, I do this one thing and I'm amazing at it. And they're getting well paid for it because it's so second nature. But the people who have been like half-assing it, they're just disappearing. They're just drying up. And it's, they're also seeing their own back end manifesting like bad, I don't just call it bad magic, but you know, where you're like, okay, I'm not all
I have a
cleared out.
story
Then
for
they
you
go,
when we're off the air.
yeah, like where they come back and then all of a sudden they're blowing shit up. Because I had a client, you know, kind of be like, oh, I got this. I'm like, I wouldn't be that. Not confident. Like, you need to be secure in what you know, but be humble on some level that you don't know. Even I don't know what I don't know. Like, I don't know what I don't know. And I'm seeing new stuff that I'm like, I've never seen before. And I have been weird since I was very young. And no one has ever showed it to me. Not a human and not a creature, not anything has ever showed that to me before. And now I understand some stuff. Like, I used to blow shit up all the time. I would walk by and lights would blow, and I'd blow up you know, when I blew up my truck. Everybody knows the story of my stupid truck. I love my truck. But when I was like, what else should I clear? Boom, you know, oh, that you don't get to be happy. You know, like, anyway,
And
tell me.
I remember when that one happened.
It sucked so bad. I never asked for clearing like that because I'm really careful now to be like highest good. I don't think it's always my highest good to blow things up or get into car crashes or, you know, oh, look, I need people. I can see that people love me because I'm now in the hospital. Like, fuck that shit. We don't need any more of that. Just, but if when we're coming from a little more humble of, and not wanting to be like, things happen fast. But if I really do believe now, if you're not totally ready, they're not going to totally show up as fast as, because you're kind of going to blow it. So better not to meet the love of your life when you're still working on your old divorce, right? Like, I mean, that's a great example, I think.
That is a really great example. You know, I had like this knowing drop down into me the other day that money is going to be much harder to make now if it's not easy. I don't really, for a lot of people, that's going to be very difficult because, especially the poor, because that just makes them incrementally more poor because that's such a hard scrabble life, right? Poverty is an endless, excruciating struggle. And money is so hard to get down there at the bottom, and it's going to get harder.
Well, I think I'm not sure that I totally agree with, but other than with when you're not in the mindset at all and you've never seen the opportunity and you're super stressed. Like I was just thinking this morning, so this is a perfect example about like where are people going to get support, right? If you've never felt supported, if you don't know how to support yourself, if you don't believe it's available, and if you really need it, like there's this thing in the coaching world, like if you need money, you can't make it because you're needy and desperate and nobody likes you. I'm like,
And that's
you know
fucking
what?
bullshit.
It's
But
bullshit because the universe, okay, what the only part of that that's true is that if you're like, I'm going to do this just because I'm going to make money and it's a great fucking idea. Like some people pull that off, like because energetically they're okay with pulling that off. But if you have loads of integrity and you're like, I want to do this thing, I really want to help people, you know, but negative energy begets negative energy if you're feeling shitty about it. And then honestly, if you don't have a savings to feel super secure in going out and making offers, can be a little difficult to feel like, unless it's like your core shit. If you know I could do this standing by the side of the road, backpacking, broke as hell, you know, like whatever, I would do this on the moon. That is your thing. You can always, I feel like the universe is always like, that is always your yes money. But
for a lot of us, I think it's the thing that we've been doing for free for a while.
Yeah, I think it's it's the thing that it's so natural. My life is so woo. I had some friends come stay with me and they used my house. And so I realized it took me an hour and a half to clean it up, to make it like normal house. Like because I took all my sacred items out and then I took all my like this out, everything I didn't want anybody to mess with, you know, I put it away. That's fine. I'm totally cool with that. But I realized I was like, this is normal for me. Like, oh, you know, and it's just not for other people. It's not normal for other people to be like, yeah, I think that's going to get paid today. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to go to the lake, right? And then it happens because I knew it was going to happen. And like, I don't know, my whole relationship to intuition is starting to change because I used to think of time like this. Now time is like this. It's all happening at once. So that's been interesting. But
learning that time, the non-reality of time is a real fun one to wrap your brain pan around. But once you do it, the world is a different place.
Well, it is because I you know, there's, good Lord, like I feel like I've done so much in the last year, which has been amazing. I've cleared so much. I've changed so much. I've just uncovered again who I am. And that makes me happy. But then I see stuff. And when you say that, I still have some of this belief of like, be patient. Things don't happen overnight. And I'm like, but my experience says otherwise. So like my experience has been like, oh, here's $12,000. You didn't know you were getting it. What? And not just once. Like that, I tend to be a windfall person. And oh God, I'm saying that out loud. But I love that. And I'm fine with that. I'm getting more fine with that. Because once you're fine with it, it happens more. And I think that's the thing about people making money when it's easy, it will come through the easiest channel, right? And I was very specific in some ways. I was like, I need to be able to rest for a while. I'm very tired and I don't feel well. I just want to be, I remember thinking, I just want to be supported for a while. Please, can you just like, I just want to make sure everybody's paid and I'm safe. I didn't say I want a specific amount. It was just like, and then I was like, I want to be an overflow. What does that feel like? And then is for a person like me, who's a healer, it's always been like, here, take it for free, take it for free. And I'm seeing that happen to a lot of people is like, no, you don't have to starve anymore. You're supported. And we feel supported. We feel safe.
Well, receiving is hard. And I think for women in particular, but I think for a lot of us, receiving is, there's a kind of humility attached to it that makes it uncomfortable.
Well, is there? I mean, like when I say receiving, so I don't know. I don't know. I'm still working out my feelings on it because when I think of some of the things I received that most people would be like on in life, right? It was harder for me to receive, say, getting paid for the work I was doing than it was to like take my paycheck
receive
and
$12,000.
yeah, or buy like first class plane tickets, or like, you know, in my old life, I had a lot of discretionary income. I felt absolutely okay with like buying luxury items. Like I don't know why people focus on that shit so much, because the purse isn't going to make you, right? If you don't feel comfortable in first class, or I mean, you can feel like you have to be comfortable in your skin anywhere in the plane, right? Like that stuff bothers me a lot. Like, oh, I have to get into the zone of being that person. For some people who have never had amount of money, I think it's very off-putting to feel like, oh, I have to get in the vibe that I can belong in Louis Vuitton. I'm like, fuck that. Like,
Nobody
fuck that.
belongs in
Right.
Louis Vuitton.
Right. No one, I mean, that's the whole point of exclusive luxury brands, is that someone gets outed, right? Like, I mean, there's some of that. And when you're like, what is the receiving? Like, there's the little stuff. It is like, I have this ridiculous coffee routine in the morning. I feel like that's one of the most luxurious things I do. It's fancy. I mean, it's expensive as coffee goes, but it's like, I get to enjoy. And that has, I think, really opened up some things for me of like, but when you place your worth, like, this is I think a big realization I've had is when you base all your worth on your work, because it's an extension or it's a service or it's your art or it's your thing, if people don't buy it, you feel like shit. Or if they, you know, don't agree with it or whatever. And I think that holds a lot of people back, because if you have this kind of like baby bird feeling of throwing this beautiful thing out into the universe, and then people are like, they don't buy it or they don't whatever, a lot of people give up. And then they start trying to maneuver into, what's a great offer? Well, I got to get into the thing. I'll have to be more like X or more like so-and-so. And
well, the inherent problem there is charging your worth is a fallacy, because you are priceless, right? You are irreplaceable. You have no intrinsic worth, and therefore you cannot charge your worth.
I'm going to be really dead honest. It is whatever you could charge a straight face for, whether it's art, whether it's pants, whether it's advertising. You know what I mean? I've sold $10,000 back pages on magazines, right? And I've sold $300 pants. And I've also struggled to sell like a $35 photograph because it was my work, right? Like other people's stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, yeah.
Other people's stuff is fine. My stuff, I put my name on it. Oh, holy shit, I can't charge this much for that. Are you kidding? And you can.
Right. Yeah, and that is it's a process. Like, I feel like that's a process for anybody who's struggling with like it. And I think there's a lot of pressure now to be like, oh, I don't know. I think there's some truth that people buy from people who are higher end, just the fact that they're charging higher prices. I say high ticket. I don't know how to say that, but it's like, and they're not necessarily a better coach. And I don't care. I don't buy the thing that they're more aligned. They're more aligned with charging the price, right? But not necessarily more aligned with better work. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. And there's no secret. I will tell, like, I feel like, because I did some courses when I had some time off, and there's nothing that they don't know. It's that they're unabashedly, you know, it's like wearing the tight dress. You walk in, you either feel like you're the whole time, you're like, right? That's the only difference. And so when we talked about like people who are struggling right now to make the money, if you don't feel like you can sashay your ass into $1,000 offer, don't do it. Like, you won't pull it off. And then it's self-defeating, and then you're depressed or you're whatever. And I really struggle with like what people need. Like, I don't know, what are you feeling like that whole design offers around what people really need? I'm like, do they know what they need? Because my clients don't know what they need. They're like, it sucks. Something's wrong. Help. Like, they just want fucking help. And it's usually really simple. Like, why can't I make any money? What the fuck is with these guys? It's super simple. And we're making these incredibly like, align with your shit. No, I'm like, align with who the fuck you are. Sorry, that was loud. There's kids out here.
Yeah, so I today posted about my ideal day exercise, and this is a whole thing that I am working on. So my birthday was yesterday. I was 40 years
Yay.
old. I did not go to Hawaii, and I did not get a party, which, it's a bit of a come down on your 40th birthday when you don't get to do the fun, big over the hill. Not that I'll cop to it. I was looking forward to some of those things and those jokes and having to be told I'm old now. Like, I wanted to hear that, and I didn't get it. So on Sunday, I decided that if I wasn't going to get those things, what I was going to have instead was the most perfectly realized normal day that I could possibly have. So I wrote it all down, scheduled and everything. And then I went and did it yesterday. Now, there were a few presents, and my husband made me a bloody steak that was absolutely divine. Those were gifts. But the rest of the day, second breakfast, the 3-hour nap, that was exactly how I planned it to be. And I have decided that I am not available for any other day than that kind of day anymore. Because it's much easier for us to build structure around feeling good than it is to build it around feeling obligated.
I so agree. I think one of the things that is so hard to get over, or what it was for me, was getting past the point of like, I just want to, like, it felt like that. I just want to pay my rent. I just want to make enough to pay this person. And because paying off my debt has been a huge priority for me. One, for flexibility, and two, like, that means a lot to me. It's about honor. And like, I have a little book, and and they're getting paid off in an order. But as far as, let's be honest, and this is a really hard thing to say, is like, nobody wants to work to pay their fucking bills. They don't. Like, what the best thing is to go beyond that, of like, I want to make enough to pay my bills, and then I also get to get that ridiculous thing that I really want, right? And whatever that is. Because working from desire, like, yeah, we'll all put out fires, but if you put out fires as like desire, make money from desire, or do things because you're just putting, like, you have to, it breeds resentment, it blocks your energy, it makes you feel worthless. Like, it just sucks eventually. Like, I think for me, that certainly was true. It's like, once I was like, you know what, here's what I really want. And there's a lot of stuff that I am not willing to say out loud yet, but I'm admitting, like, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. Now I love my place, but I'm ready for a house soon. Like, I'm like, well, and then all this stuff comes up. Like, why do you want a house? Like, you're just one person. You already have 2 bedrooms. I'm like, because I want a yard. And then it's like, deserve. And I've always had things.
Deserve. And
deserve. What
I've
do you
been
deserve?
seeing this a lot, especially amongst my Black friends and other women of color. We are conditioned to believe that wanting those things makes us terrible people, makes us gold diggers, makes us, let's go down the laundry list of names that we call ourselves when we want things. And that is particularly true for women of color.
Yeah.
And it's something we have to program out of ourselves. It's okay to want. It's okay to want nice things.
It is okay. And whatever your nice thing is, like, I think it's so important to decide what's your luxury, right? Like, I
Right.
spend lavishly on the shit that I love and nothing on the stuff. Like, there's some stuff I'm like, I don't care, whatever is cheapest. I don't even want to bother with this, right? Like window cleaner or whatever. Like, there's some stuff like that. And deciding that, but it's a run into that worthy. And then you're like, well, who's worthy? I mean, and so that's fun, I think. I watch lots of stuff with very opulent sets. Like, I'm watching The Politician because it's about Santa Barbara and Montecito. I was like, I know those people, right? So I was like, okay. So I'm just watching the sets alone. I was like, those are like $5,000 curtains. What kind of shift? Not only can you imagine, here's the thing I think everybody should try to imagine, because it'll show you just how low your ceiling is to how much, right? Because everybody has a number they think like, that seems like excessive money. And so I was like, can you imagine really for a minute to sink into, I can have anything I want, and not, I can go buy the Toyota. And we could get the McLaren. You know, I really want a Shelby Cobra. You know, I think 17,000 square feet is fine. We need room for friends. And let's not get it. And then it brings up for me like politics and deserving and like eco space. And I was like, okay, so there's, you know, like, and you can sort through those and decide, yes, I want opulence to me, or what does abundance mean really to in your own world of like, for me, being able to throw whatever you want in your grocery cart, whether it's organic. And I had to get yesterday. Didn't we have the salad dressing conversation about a year ago?
I feel like we might have had a salad dressing conversation. Yes.
It was mozzarella yesterday for my zucchini pizzas. And I was like, it's an $8 thing of cheese. I'm like, it's an $8. I'm like, well, what, do you not deserve $8 cheese? I'm like, it's fucking $8 cheese. I mean, and it was like tiny. I was like, is it good? And then it became a quality of like, is it good? Am I gonna like it? Should I get the other one? I don't really know the brand. The same thing happened in the pizza aisle, but that was about meat. I was like, can you actually buy pizza sauce with meat involved? Is it good for you? And it was funny to see myself paralyzed, because that's the whole point. Some things will move amazingly, and then other things I'm like,
I think about those really big houses, and I'm like, can you imagine what your step total is going to be like at the end of the day in one of those really big houses? That's why people want them, so that they can be lazy and just walk around the house and hit 10,000 steps.
I'll tell you what, when I get to my 17,000 square foot house, I'm just going to have a litter. Someone's going to carry me from room to room.
There we go. There we go.
Someone said that to me. Yeah, I mean, and it's funny, people are like, oh, you'd have to clean. I'm like, you can clean your own house when you have that.
If you have 17,000 square feet, you certainly do not clean it. No. And that's a mental adjustment that people like. It's wild to me how they can't make that adjustment. If you have 17,000 square feet, you have a cleaner. You probably have a cook. Like, you don't have live-in help, but you have people come every day. It's a totally different ball game. Where's your comfort level?
Yeah, and so when we bring this back down, I wouldn't say back down to reality, but when we're like trying to work through our next level, whatever our next level is, like I say, like, I don't know, people know when a couple years ago when I moved here, I wasn't working, I wasn't doing anything. I kind of quit coaching, I kind of everything. I was living in my mom's office, and it barely fit my bed. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then it was like, okay, well, what does the next thing look like? Oh, an apartment. And I look for like something just cheap and affordable, right? Like I was like, I can just have this little, I just want my own. First I was like, I just want my own fucking space, right? And then I was like, and then I was like, and I got this place and I didn't tell anyone. And I had no furniture for 6 months because I think I felt so guilty about it that I was like, it's so big. Why do I need a studio in my house? Shouldn't I just have it in the kitchen? Or, you know, and who do I think, don't I have to be famous to have a studio and all of that stuff? And now I was like, okay, when I started thinking about houses, I'm like, you know, just a little something. And I was like, I noticed the little something. It's always still the little something, just not too much, not too big. And it came from an experience I had where a family member kind of laughed at me. Like, and I can pinpoint that now of like, I was like, and this particular person had exactly what I was talking about. I was like, I want a house in Maui, and I want a house in La Quinta, and I want a house either in Seattle or Benda. You know, like I want to be able to see all my family in my favorite place. That would be my dream. That would be my dream. And, you know, maybe ecologically, I am like, okay, some of those things now I'm like, how sustainable is it for people to, you know, that's a different question than like, you're never gonna get that, loser. Like, I mean, and that was pretty much the thing. And I internalized it so badly of like, oh, everything I want is too big. Everything I want is too big. And then, but soul wise, my soul's like, if we had these things, I've done better work being comfortable. Honestly, the best work I've done in 2 months, the last 2 or 3 months, I guess, that I've done in 5 years, because I wasn't so fucking stressed. I wasn't like, okay. And I was like, okay, it's okay to be comfortable.
And I think that pulls us right back to where we're talking about the state of the world, because nobody else is comfortable. You and I are in our nice little bubbles, comfy, hanging out with our ideal days and studios, and everybody else is going to hell in a handbasket.
Like, and I feel kind of like, well, and not everybody, I will tell, like, there's, no. I feel like we're seeing a between the world.
The stratification is becoming more and more extreme. Yes,
it is. And to get away from that, I really encourage people to find something that you love to do that you can do from home, because at least here, that's not going to let up. It's not going to let up, and it's not, if people, we're going to close down again and those things. And there's no reason for people to suffer through it other than the mindset of, I'm going to suffer through it. Like, everybody has amazing gifts. They have amazing talents. They, you know, they have a phone. It's so easy. There's great products online. There's MLMs that are doing great things.
Oh, don't talk about MLMs. Yes. No, they're not doing great things. We are clearly going to have to agree to disagree on this one, because I find very little redeeming about multi-level marketing.
I don't think everybody is made. I think some people do a very good job selling Pampered Chef, Party Lights. Like, you know, there's good ones, Passion Parties. Okay,
there are some okay ones. I won't go so far as good, but there are some, especially the product-based ones.
Yes. And I think there's some good supplements. I think there's some good, I think you have to do your diligence, but you can find, you can do arbitrage. You can do, there's always way to make money online and I'm seeing people suffer. Like, I'm looking at my apartments and like, empty. Right? These people have moved out. My neighbors across the way have moved out, which is why I can finally do stuff out here. Although their pretty sunflowers are gone. It's really about sinking into what your purpose is. And I think, like, it is the time when the healer's purpose is not to survive. It is to thrive. It is to expand and to say the words out loud and just to go with being a little bit weird, you know, and own that maybe the things that make you especially weird are what make, like, it's a huge gift to other people. You know? I see people apologizing for it a lot, but I also think, like, we also have to clean out the shit, and really fast, like the time window for this is in the next couple of years. And I'm telling you, by the end of this, for some reason, this whole year is going to be a thing, but somewhere around December,
whole fucking
January.
year is it's a shit show of epic proportion. And let's be honest, even the stars say that the next few months are going to be worse, not better. We have some really interesting aspects coming up. Mars goes retrograde in September through November.
I was like, I don't know. I'm not going back to the hospital, but like, where's my Mars? Aries. Yeah.
Mars is in Aries. Mars is at home in Aries, right?
Probably. I feel so. Feels so good. I'm working on my tan and my muscles this summer. Like, I'm shallow. That's the thing is, like, we're getting down to the most simple of things. Like, I do think it is the most simple and gentle and, like, childlike. I feel like the universe is calling, at least for me, to be like, access your inner child, because that's the only energy that's going to pull you through all of this heavy, big stuff. I mean, you know, Saturn and Jupiter duking it out again this week. Suck it. I was like, oh, great. That's Dad telling us not to have fun at the party. I'm like, or, you know, like, it's some hard stuff, but I think there's great opportunity for some people.
As long as you're doing the
I'm
work. As long as you're
I'm-
doing the work. And I think that's what we come back to here over and over and over again is how are you doing the work? How are you doing the clearing? How are you clearing your space? How are you taking care of your physical body? Those things are, at the end of the day, they seem not nearly as essential as they actually are.
They really are, because I think we talk about the idea of one post. Oops. Sorry, battery.
Sorry.
We talk about the one post that could change things. And ultimately, if you're not in a good space, like negative energy brings negative results or less than or whatever. And our bodies, like energetically, the universe is throwing a lot at us, right? So even if you're staying away from it, you're still kind of like, I can feel it, and it's ignorance to ignore it. Truly, you can't just say, I'm in a bubble, I'm spiritual, it won't hurt me. I'm like,
you are exactly who it's going to hurt. Let's be real honest. If that's what you're saying, if you're not doing the work, then it is going to hurt you.
There will definitely be some surprises, I think, for people that are clueless like that. And in whatever way is your kind of your lightning rod, right? Like whether it's your body, whether it's and I'm starting to have some feelings about who the virus is starting to get. And that concerns me. I mean, like, I don't know. I'd have to hear more about it, but I know that there's groups that are working with it, communicating with it. I haven't personally felt the need to talk to it because I don't really do that kind of work. But I think there's going to be more to it than people think. And so just being really aligned to who you are is going to make a big difference.
So just to be clear, Danny is talking about talking to the virus because people are doing this now. This is the thing I've seen crop up quite a few times. It seems like there's some, I hesitate to use the word sentience, but there's certainly some level of communication with the virus for people, which tells me it's probably not even the virus that they're talking to, but the earth. And that's a whole nother level of, yeah.
Well, yeah. And I think that's why I've seen both witches, oracles, people, some very in tune people just telling you to like ground deeply into who you are, into good energy, into clean energy, into earth energy, because the things that it's trying to take out our structures are, I don't mean to be too doom and gloom about this, but like the structures that don't serve, whether they're interior or, and think about what it does.
Systemic.
Yeah.
We can talk about the systemic ones. I mean, you live, 30 minutes from Portland. So we certainly should be talking about some of the systemic structures that are on fire right now. And they are on fire.
Yeah, there's, and what's interesting and where I think people should be called, the healers should be called, is like, there's like, oh, I'm going to pray for the love and light. That's great. But we can't just send it love anymore. Like it's not that it's not enough, but it's not enough for the amount of fear that's going on in the world. Like I'm sure there was a lot of people in World War II going, I'm just going to send that some love. Sure. Great. It's still going to happen because the majority, 80% of the planet is very, very scared, and you can feel it. It's palpable. And there's also, there's things that need addressing, but it's there. This is the manifesting, like the back end manifesting, the unconscious creating, that all the fear and all the stuff, all the shit people have had stuffed down in their souls for the last 40, 50 years about unfairness. What's the word? Just like inequality is coming up through energy, right? Like, so if a lot of us are feeling this huge, like I was going through it a couple of weeks ago, I just felt like there was this blackness that just kept coming through my heart. And I was like, you don't get to come this way. You don't get to be Like I'm not going to start. And every time I start to feel really depressed, I feel like it's just finding an outlet, and you don't want to be the outlet. Not to be too creepy for anyone, but like, this is true. And when you are just bypassing it with this, I'll send it love and light, you're not dealing with you need to be the light. You need to stay in your light, because then, like, think about it. Think about the monks. Think about the Dalai Lama. Is he freaking out? No.
Right.
He's now doing Facebook Lives, right?
And they're good too.
They are. They're really healing. Like, even if you don't listen to it, I mean, like, if it's the translation's a little hard, you will get his love, and he is such a beautiful channel. And that's what we want to be more of. And when you channel that, and then you're like, seriously, like, referrals, I haven't done a lot of posting, I haven't done a lot of things, it's just referrals or things or gifts, or it's just coming in because I think it's more open. And I've done a shitload of clearing, I will say. I do. I'm super stoked about being able to walk clients through this, because it does make a big difference for those of us who are already, like, we suffered so much. And those of you who have been through the trauma are like, I got this, because this is fucking easy. I already know how to do this. This is my childhood.
Yeah,
right?
I've been to this show, didn't like the t-shirt, bought the hat instead, right? Like,
right. Yeah. And it's like, the goal is, if you to not just survive, but to come out of this with, like, a new sense of credentials of, like, I not only got through it with my scars and my pain and my damage and my trauma, and I'm, like, good to go. We don't have to take the hit anymore. We don't take the hit. We don't need the hit. We don't need the hit. We're like, we're not going to get the hit. We're going to evolve and, like, create the beautiful wave of energy that takes people through this. I mean, there's some really good stuff coming after this. It's getting through it in a way that's really supports you, and so you feel loved at a very base level.
So let's talk about that real quick. I mean, obviously it's self-care. What's spiritual self-care look like right now?
Well, for me, there's a couple of things. It's the general gamut of, like, I do the energy medicine, Donna Eden's, every day. That's my, when I get up, I look at my phone and I pull a card. I'm like, all right, what do I need to see? And then I do my energy clearings, and there's a big difference between avoidance. I think that's the main thing is that we're all pretty good about, like, oh, I know how to center. Do you know how to center into your, like, over soul, into the big soul, and then push people away and cut them out?
You and Heather are on the same wavelength here, because she said boundaries.
Yeah, like,
boundaries.
And this is great for us. Like, yeah, because you don't have to take it on. You don't have to. You can look at the movement and go and make a decision. That's healthier than getting super upset, going and being a dick somewhere, doing something else, or yelling at someone on Facebook. There's a lot of that shit going on. And I'm gonna have to up my feed, because I'm not seeing any of this. All I see is horse stuff. But then also integrating joy, because no one is making joy. The artists aren't making joy. We're not having fun. We are not having fun. And I'm not saying that it feels like like laughing at a funeral a little bit, but everybody there's some point in a funeral where you're laughing over the cookies about something Bob did, right? Like, that's kind of where you have to have some kind of, because otherwise it's going to be more of a funeral.
I take that one for granted, because I've had to figure out those kinds of laughing through the funeral circumstances in my own life. But that is exactly where we're at. The things that bring me joy, the people who make me laugh, those are the people that I'm spending time with and on. And right now I am increasing those things as much as possible, because joy is important.
It really is. And I think it's that self-generated joy. I think that's the one thing that, like, we are no longer looking out because there's no out to look at. Like, we've all burned through the Netflix, right? They're not making anything new. But that's not joy. That's diversion. And sometimes it can be joy. But the joy of, like, grass angels and making ice cream for me. I mean, whatever you're the little, like, not kidding, my 6-year-old is running the show and I love it. I have never felt so free in my life as an adult. To be like,
I just bought myself 120 colored pencils, and I cannot even tell you how fucking excited I was to open that box up and smell them. And then today I was coloring, because indeed we are all 6 years old at this time.
Yeah. And what is your, like, you know, there's been some stuff that I'm like, oh, like, I have an idea for a painting today. I'm really excited. I'm not going to tell anybody. But I was like, oh, that'll be the best of both worlds. Oh my God, that's so amazing. And it's, you know, if anybody feels like, oh, it's, I saw Ashley Longshore, who is one of my favorite artists. Like, painting is emotional survival now. Again, like it was when I was very broken. And I was like, yep, that's where it is for me. And the things that you would go to in times of deep trauma are the things that really do speak to you. Like, and I don't mean getting hammered, you know. the booze intake in, like, Oregon alone is, like, insane, because that's the only thing that's open. But really, the things that make you, like, innocently laugh and joy of, like, you know, dogs and cats and, like, oh, the cat TikTok, like, answered. What are those cats? The expression on the cats. Have you seen it? No?
No.
So, like, it's ridiculous. They're answering the phone with a cat. It's ridiculous. But the expression on the cat's face is like, they're like, these.
No, I don't. I have to. I get sad when I miss TikTok, but I refuse to get TikTok, because here we are back to the reality of the state of the world again. I am very uncomfortable giving the Chinese government all of my personal data.
Oh, I saw this on I think it was a share or something like that. I don't think if it's an app, I don't have it. Yeah, I mean, there's that. And what I do is, this is a good time to be like, nobody steals my shit. Helps when you have a big dragon. But nobody steals my shit. Nobody knows my thing. Like, there's some things, you know, like, we get concerned about, and it, like, becoming the exception. And that is, I think, really important for everybody. You can be in the exception of exceptions. Like, in the whole room, we can have a whole room of people who are exceptions that aren't going broke, that are still making money, that are still finding ways to thrive and deepen their connections to the things we really love. And I think that's what this is asking us to do. So what do you really love about yourself, about your people? Like, you know, like, there's some stuff. And, like, I keep joking about my, you know, my mail order husband. I may have to get one of those. If we're going to lock down for another year, I might have to just find a buddy, you know, see if someone wants to hang out with me.
I know. I'm sorry you don't have a quarantine buddy. It's sad.
I'm in actual quarantine right now, because I went to a burlesque show and it was the best, like, most ridiculous fun I've had. And that was the whole point, is they're like, why would you chance it? I'm like, because I needed to feel alive.
Just and for a few minutes.
Yeah, not to sit in a bar, but to watch people sing and dance has always filled me up. And to see people who body positive, you know, all ages, all bodies, like, girls, like, one girl with an epic ass, and somebody was like, you know, a mom out there just feeling amazing. My phone, sorry.
It's all right. And then we're gonna lose you soon, though, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. But the best part of it, I will have to say, was a dude who was like 6'5" doing a schoolboy burlesque to the Cola song with the longest fishnet I've ever seen in my life, because he had, like, legs to here, and he did the little tie thing. That's what we're meant to be doing. That's how we, and now he's, like, becoming a local sensation because he was so fun. And that is, if you feel like you're marketing, like, people have been hitting the really heavy. Poland's just, you could be the rare person who's having fun at the party. And without being disrespectful. You know what I mean?
I think that there is a place for that right now. Yes, a place for us to acknowledge what is going on in the world and acknowledge that we ourselves cannot be overcome by those things.
Well, because we can't. Because the thing is, although this is very close and present, is that we are still going to be here, a lot of us, for the next 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. What do you want to make of this? And this right now will make a whole new launching for a lot of people. Could be good. You could set yourself up for unimaginable, beautiful things right now.
But you have to do the work of setting yourself up right now for beautiful things. If you do not believe that you can call those beautiful things in, and Heather mentioned, so she met her boyfriend right before quarantine started. They're going to be getting a house together soon.
Nice.
Like, it makes me abundantly happy for her because
me too.
There's still joy, right?
Oh my gosh, my little girlfriend, I think I told you, one of my little friends, I call her little friend because she's like here, and she's younger, and she's just one of those, you know, you feel like, me, I love you so much, you know, I just want to kiss her every time I see her. And I was like, how's it going? And she's like, oh, I can't go camping, 34 weeks pregnant with someone else's baby.
Yes.
Surrogate, like doing beautiful shit. Beautiful shit still available, and be the beautiful shit. Be the beautiful right now. We are being called to be like, just be fucking nice. That would be a huge step in the world for people right now. Just be kind. People are freaked. Remember that people are freaked, you know, and it will go forward. And yeah, I'm really excited. I'm excited to hear in the group what's been happening for other people, like good, bad, peeling away, stripping away, making tons of cash. I know some people are, you know.
Yeah, let us know in the comments what's working, what's not. If you do the replay, let us know. This has been fantastic.
It's been fun. Have you liked the kids in the pool? Is it
yeah, they've been great. They are your like auditory representation of joy right there.
Right. Yeah, I love it. I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to be it's the best. Every day is recess.
And we will talk to y'all later. Guys, thank you for being here. Bye.
Bye.